All right, happy Thursday night, everybody. Welcome on into the daily broadcast. We got a ton of stuff going on this evening. It's been a busy week for Texas Tech football, basketball, and everything in between. And of course, over, under, and rated right Thursday. Getting into Steely Dan's catalog tonight, the overrated, underrated, rated right song. So there are a lot of reasons for you to be a part of the program. United Supermarkets, Market Street, they make that happen every night. You can go there, get great groceries, support Texas Tech, and thanks to them, you can jump in on the chat line and have your questions and comments heard. So we get all that going on tonight here in the Arctic Air Studios. The air got a little Arctic this afternoon. I wasn't completely expecting it. I mean, this afternoon before I left town, coming back to the Arctic Air Studios, it's like, dang, it's kind of cold. It's almost acting like it's December. Who knew? I guess it was going to happen. So all that Texas Tech football, you guys know what we're going to talk about tonight. Let's make it happen. Your comments make the show go. So get your comments and your thoughts ready to roll. In three, in two. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, TheRaiderland.com. You start your day every day, including today, checking out those cool, awesome Raiderland hot links. I figure if I dig it, you guys are probably going to dig it, so we throw it out there. We give you the question of the day. You can sound off in the comments, and then we go from there. Now, the early arrivals. You know what to do. Give us thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Expand Raiderland and make it happen. And do that tonight. We're in the Arctic Air Studios. Call the bear if the air is too Arctic this winter. You guys know who to talk to here in the Hubaplex. Now, we're brought to you in part tonight by Sideline Provisions, great apparel company owned and operated by fine Red Raiders. You want to look good all the time, you need Sideline Provisions. Shirts, T-shirts, caps, things of that sort. They got it. You can get it online if you're outside the market. Now, if you're inside Lubbock, just go over to Quarter Four. That's the old Cardinals, South Loop, Tooting, and Slide. They got all the stuff there. If you're outside of the 289, just go to quarter4.net. I think it's a .net. And go to Red Raider Apparel and everything right there. Sideline Provisions. The awesome stuff, the Cool Guns Up logo, everything you expect and more. We're also brought to you tonight by South Plains College. That's right. Send you off to college to gain a little knowledge, and all you want to do is learn how to get to Texas Tech. A lot of great Red Raiders started as great Texans. South Plains College, whether you're just out of high school or you want to do some continuing education, or just like maybe you and your wife want to sign up for cooking classes. South Plains College over in Levelland, get you taken care of, man. Awesome stuff. So, let's do it tonight. Let's see. McGuire gets his man again. He gets Leftwich out of Texas State. Texas Tech, a have school, not a have not. He gets who he wants. He beats out, he just tells Houston, you can't afford your coordinator. I got him. Then he tells Utah today, hey, you can't have the offensive coordinator you might want there, Whittingham. In fact, you may be out of a job up there in Utah. We got weird stuff going on up there. Meanwhile, Tahj Brooks gets screwed not getting first team all Big 12 running back honors. Now, typically we say these things don't matter, but damn it, every now and then I get pissed off at the way these things go. So the kid from UCF gets first team, and then Scatabo at Arizona State, nearly 300 yards less rushing. It's all brutal to me. We'll get your thoughts. I don't care about things until I see somebody like Tahj Brooks that every coach in the Big 12 should say he ran for 100 yards against everybody every time out with a substandard offensive line. If he ran for 1,500 yards this year, and he's not first team Big 12 running back, then every lineman should be first team offensive lineman, because apparently anybody can run for 1,500 yards behind that offensive line. Good Lord. All right, so all that Tech basketball, strength of schedule is a disaster right now, and it's hurting Texas Tech. Let's get it going on the comments. I'm going to hang out as long as the comments are fun, as long as we're having a good time tonight. That's what we're going to do. Because I may have like Dairy Queen or something. I don't know what's coming home for supper. James, thumbs up. Good to know. Want to hear the thumbs up. Everything good to go. Jeff on YouTube. Everybody who doesn't subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube tonight. You don't have to watch it there. You can watch it on Twitter X. You can watch it on Facebook, but subscribe and then give us thumbs up on YouTube and share it. The talking box is on. Jeff can't explain where it came from, but he knows to say the talking box is on. Lacey is in Texas. Thumbs up, Lacey. We appreciate that. Bob, the talking box is on. Same thing. I don't think Bob knows on Facebook. Doughboy in the house. Merry Christmas. Merry early Christmas to you, my man Doughboy out there. Guns Up Trucking. It's a travesty, talking about, I assume, Tahj Brooks. It's a travesty. Sham mockery, a travesty, anyhow. Agree on Tahj, says James. Joey aced the test this week. Now to make it all pay off on the field next year, screwing two Big 12 opponents is the chef's kiss. So what we're talking about here is that Joey McGuire finished the regular season knowing two things. He was going to fire Tim DeRuyter. I disagree with that. I stand by that. Okay? I stand by the fact I would have brought Tim DeRuyter back. I know it's possible that me and Joey McGuire might disagree every now and then. So I disagree with that. However, Joey McGuire had what's called a plan. He knew exactly who he wanted. And he went out and got him. And he goes and he brings in the coordinator from Houston, and Houston can't pay him. Shield Wood, they can't pay Shield Wood. Their head coach sits there at a press conference in Houston and cries poor. It says, we can't afford to pay him. Texas Tech is a have, not a have not. Today, and we saw this kind of leading up yesterday, that it was going to be Mac Leftwich out of Texas State. Well, the reports, and I trust them, have told me today that Utah desperately wanted him, that they wanted to bring him to Utah, except Utah couldn't get him. Texas Tech could. You're a have, not a have not. That Joey McGuire went into the week, I think he knew he was going to lose. He knew he was going to lose Zach Kittley. Zach Kittley was going to have head coach opportunities, and he was going to take them. He had a plan, and he executed it within 3 freaking days, basically. It's pretty good. So when Jeff says he aced the test, he did. Now you got to go win. Doesn't matter if you do all this or you don't. Jared on Facebook talking about, is it because Brooks is too easy to say? Scatabo gave me difficulty saying it the first time. Every time, Scatabo. No. Scatabo gets it because their team is going to the playoff or the title game. That's it. That and Tahj Brooks gets diminished because he's freaking boring. Brooks gets diminished because he just gets yards. It's not always that impressive. He doesn't run a 4.3. And he gets dismissed that way. And in a 16-team league, so Arizona State's running back, who had a great year. That has nothing to do with Scatabo as a player. But I think there's also the idea that Scatabo is going to be the NFL guy. And they go, well, Brooks is only charting at like a 3rd-round pick or something. He can't be that great. Oh, no, he just ran for 1,500 yards 2 years in a row. And he's done it behind a shitty offensive line. There, I said it. Sorry, Caleb Rogers. So, again, if he's done this for Texas Tech, then every offensive lineman should be first team all Big 12, because apparently anybody can line up behind it and run. No, he gets penalized because Texas Tech didn't achieve highly as a team. Bottom line. You know? Bob talking about Cambridge no longer on the team. I don't know that that's official unless something has changed this afternoon. There were personal reasons listed why he was not available. If something has changed, I hadn't seen it this afternoon officially. Personal reasons listed why he was not. I don't know that he's not on the team, Bob. Awards really don't matter until they do. We take it personal because the duty is. Agreed. Jakob's view right there, the purple J right there off of Facebook. Yeah, I take it personally because he didn't have to come back. He had to do any of this. He could have gone and signed a free agent contract, maybe got drafted, maybe not. He came back. He gutted it out for Texas Tech, put up with a lot of garbage. Makes me mad. And that's why I quit 20 years ago. I quit voting on anything basically I could vote on because it was such garbage. And I didn't want to be a part of it. And I refused to vote on all tournament teams in basketball. I refused to vote on that because they would come by and pick up the ballots with like 7 minutes left in the game, in the championship game. It's not over. It's a close game. We don't know. I'm done. And I had preseason media votes at different times on different stuff. Southwest Conference, Big 12. Well, I did the Southwest Conference stuff. The Big 12 is when I finally just said, I don't want to have anything to do with any of this. So I guess I shouldn't, complain. But 20 years ago, I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. Kitley is gone. Merry Christmas to you. Okay, he's gone now. Tell me what's different about Mac Leftwich. I'm waiting, Doughboy. Tell me what's different schematically, who he's coached with, what he's learned from, and what he'll do. That if you didn't like Kitley, and obviously Doughboy did not like Kitley. If you didn't like Kitley, you tell me what's going to be different based on who you just hired, based on their career track, based on the fact they're 30 freaking years old. That's another thing. Joey McGuire ain't afraid to hire young coaches or even inexperienced coaches. And I would put Shield Wood still inexperienced. Although I say that, so he has 4 seasons now as the defense coordinator and defensive coordinator position coach. And I was thinking about that today. That when Spike Dykes was hired as defensive coordinator, and I'll throw this out here, and I'll get back to it in a minute. Well, you guys can probably figure it out and Google it or whatever. How old he was, how many years he'd been a defensive coordinator in college and otherwise when he was hired as a defensive coordinator at Texas Tech versus what we're seeing with Shield Wood. Chris says basketball issue is Cambridge is okay. I didn't see that before we got on today. I would assume maybe I've got it in the inbox here. Don't have it right there. Well, all right, that's a shame because apparently something's going on a personal standpoint, and we wish him well. I think Brooks has more upside in the NFL versus the ASU back. I don't know, and I don't care. No offense, James. It doesn't matter to me. I'm thinking about college football, all Big 12. Now, let's not delude ourselves. Tahj is going to have a tough go in the NFL. He's got to be in the right system. He's not a speed guy. His size in the NFL is going to come into play. But I think if he gets into a two-back system, not two at the same time, but utilizing two backs, I think he can make a roster. I think he can make a hand. But I don't care about what happens in the NFL. I look at college. I go, it's okay to be a great college running back. That's what he was. That's what he is. So don't even worry about the NFL. That's probably the link there. I can't click on it. Jacob Rodriguez announced today he's coming back. Isn't he the one whose wife is a Black Hawk pilot? Yes, she is. Yes, he is. And he did announce he's going to run it back. I think that's huge. He's a great college linebacker. Ain't nothing wrong with being a great college linebacker. Wood comes in running a 3-4, which is an odd man front. It will not be a drastic change at all schematically for Texas Tech in the front seven. And I think if you're Rodriguez, you look at it and go, okay, I can do this. He's not sitting here going to some sort of 4-3 or something or anything else that's going to be different, that I can come back and succeed in it. And his wife's got a freaking job, killing bad guys. It's a cool thing. Over Hyatt and I can't tell, what is that? T-Wive on Sunday, Hyatt and T-Y. Come on, Derek, give me something else on that. What is that? Give me something. Don't know, just glad he's gone. Well, I mean, we've all had that girlfriend like that, and then the next one was crazy. And you're right. I didn't from the day he stepped on the field at TTU. Mm-hmm. Doughboy is always honest. CJ, J-Rod deserving of first team, as Tahj should have been first. Yeah, Rodriguez 100%. If they'd kept him off, then it's like, all right, what are we doing here? But again, I talk out of both sides of my mouth. I get mad on one hand what they did to Tahj Brooks, and then on the other, I say, doesn't matter, doesn't care. Is that official? His son was terminated at Nebraska. I don't know if that's official or not. Was Spike at DC for 3 years? Was he a DC for 3 years before being head coach, or a DC for 3 years before being a DC? My point on Spike Dykes was we look at Wood at age 42, and I have a tendency to go, dang, man, he's only been a DC for like 4 years, 3 different places. It just seems like really inexperienced compared to Tim DeRuyter. How are you hiring guys like this? Joey's not afraid to hire guys that are young. And all of a sudden, when you get to be my age, 42, you're going, yeah, young guy. 30 for sure. I mean, and anymore in college football, even in the NFL, we're seeing guys in their 30s getting jobs that guys got 10, 15, 20 years ago. You had to be 40, 45, 50 to get the job. Now, we don't care. So my point on Spike Dykes was I had to double check. I thought I was right. So Spike Dykes becomes the defensive coordinator in 83, 84, 45, 86. And he comes in after coaching at Midland Lee. Now, Spike had been in college football for many years as an assistant with Texas and Mississippi State, New Mexico, but he had not been a coordinator. So the first time he becomes a coordinator is at Texas Tech, coming in under Jerry Moore, stays as the coordinator under David McWilliams. And then McWilliams leaves after 86, he becomes the head coach. So he had 3 years as a coordinator before becoming head coach at Tech. But before that, he'd never been a coordinator at the college level. That his track was not dissimilar to Joey McGuire, and that he had been a high school coach and been a head coach and all that stuff. But he had much more college experience than Joey McGuire had. He'd been around a lot better college programs at Darrell Royal in the 70s and Texas and a couple of other places. But I was curious just in my mind to say, where were we, compared to who you're hiring now? Spike was 44 years old when he comes to Tech as the DC, leaving Midland Lee. He was only 44 years old, man. Just a kid. So I look at Wood at 42, and Wood has more college football defensive coordinator experience than Spike Dykes had when he got the job. Just rolling it out there for perspective. That's what we do. You know, when you're old like me, you have a tendency to look back on history and see how does it repeat itself, how does it come into play, everything else. So, all right, let's talk some basketball real quick. I want to roll back a little bit to last night. Good win, fine win, everything good. You needed to win that game because you have zero room for error. HoopsHD.com, and we do that in bracketville.wordpress.com. They're the best in putting together the bracket and helping you understand in real time during the season where teams are up and down the S curve and how it's going to work out. Right now, Texas Tech on the Hoops HD nitty gritty number. This is a ranking of all the teams, one through whatever. And this is after last night. Texas Tech is at 55. They were at 68 before the game, moved up 13 after beating DePaul. You had to absolutely beat DePaul. The strength of schedule right now for Texas Tech basketball is killing this program the last couple of years going into Big 12 play. They have no room for error. And we look at what's coming up, and you've got that game against A&M and ORU. Was that Lamar? And then you got Big 12 play. You cannot lose any of those games and hope to go into Big 12 play on the right side of the bubble. You're not an NCAA tournament team right now. Now, do I believe that they are an NCAA tournament team talent-wise? Yes. Resume-wise and everything else, they are not. And that's not going to change between now and New Year's Day, or, well, UCF, yeah. That this team, once again, has to go into the Big 12 fighting their way into the NCAA tournament, moving themselves up the seed list. They've got to improve the non-conference schedule. Every game has been quad 3 or 4. Not a single quad 1 or 2 game this year. It's got to change. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, I am. But and they're not sponsoring me, but Blue Emu, works pretty good. And it doesn't smell. I mean, you're old. You're old. Come on, you should be doing some of this work yourself. You got a radio show, you got a TV show. You could be busting in and doing some of this stuff. So for Tech basketball, the schedule's killed them again. We've seen it the last couple of years. I understand why they've scheduled the way they've scheduled. New coaches, you don't know who you've got. Transfer portal, you don't know what you've got. Players, we're not going to pay a whole lot to bring a team in. Nobody wants to come in. I get all the excuses. Something's got to change. It's got to get better. CJ thought Tech looked good with the win, played together well. Grant has them on the right track. No, I agree with that. This team is fine, X's and O's as constructed. They're a fine team, but they've left themselves no room for error with the schedule. There's the who you are on the court. There's the who you are with the metrics. The metrics still matter. Brooklyn games weren't good competition. No, they weren't. It was a bad loss to St. Joe's, and the win didn't do you a damn thing. Those are quad 3 and quad 4 games. Now, you look at that and you go, those are named teams, but at the end of the day, this year right now, they're not good. It wasn't good competition. Just the reality of it. And again, you can sit there and go, well, you don't know before the season starts, and you think, you thought maybe you go up there and you're going to play somebody a little bit better. Well, even if you'd won, let's say you beat St. Joe's, all right? We go back to the HD nitty gritty. Let's say you'd won that game and you don't play Syracuse. You play Texas, who beat Syracuse. Texas is only a 43. Hoops HD nitty gritty right now. And they were 57 before last night. I don't know who they played. I must have played somebody halfway decent. You know? So, looking at some numbers here. The good news is in the Big 12, you get a chance to beat some teams. Starting today, the Hoops HD nitty gritty number: Oregon 1, Auburn 2, Marquette 3, Tennessee 4, Gonzaga 5, and then we get to the Big 12. So Kansas 6, Iowa State 7, Utah State. How are you up there? I know how you're up there. Oklahoma used to be in the conference, right? And then you got a big gap in the middle with the current Big 12. Cincinnati, yeah, 31. Thank you. A&M, Iowa, Washington, Texas, Baylor 44. Baylor 44. That's not good for the league right now. So Texas Tech's going to have to do some things in the coming years to really amp that up 100%. Aren't schedules 2-3 years out? Nope, they are not. They're done year to year. McCaslin says he wants to play a hard non-conference schedule. Ain't nothing stopping him. These schedules are put together year to year. Ain't like football. Creighton Pop scored 27, helped beat Kansas. Yeah, he had a great night. Not surprised. That's what he does. He does those things. He's a scorer. Didn't shock me at all to see Creighton go out and drop a bunch of threes. By the way, Tech, quit shooting threes. You're not good at it. You're helping me embrace my old guyness thing. Yeah, old guys are cool, man. Oh, yeah, underrated, overrated, and rated right. Steely Dan songs were the topic. So finally, we get a little Steely Dan discussion. Underrated, Almost Gothic. Okay. That is off of 73, 74. I can't remember which album that is off, 73 or 74. Got a year or two on you. I don't know that you do. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's entirely possible. Let's see. I went on the underrated My Old School, which comes out in 73. And there's so much going on in that song. It's incredible. It's just a great song. It is so much better than Reeling in the Years. Reeling in the Years is overrated. I think I put Reeling in the Years on overrated. Reeling in the Years was a song that almost any band could have done in the early 70s. That it's not a song that you look back and go, only Steely Dan could have done that. All right. Rated Right, Peg. It comes off of Asia. And I think you look at that and go, good song. Everybody loved it. I think it gets too much credit for the album. I would much rather Deacon Blue, Hey 19. Deacon Blue. Almost you could put Deacon Blue, underrated. If for one of the great lines of the 70s, they call Alabama the Crimson Tide. I want a name when I lose. Call me Deacon Blue. Kid Charlemagne, I think, has some of the best acoustics coming in mid-70s on Steely Dan. This all got started because on Gil Alexander numbers game on VSIN in the mornings, 9 to 11 Central Time. Kelly Bidlin, co-host, and the producer, so much more than a producer, got the topic going earlier this week about yacht rock and who is and who is not. And Steely Dan is totally not yacht rock, but it got us going on the whole idea. Now, I would submit, and I'm in an argument right now with Gil Alexander. Yay. At Beating the Book, if you guys want to get in on this, you can just start tagging him on at Beating the Book on Twitter, Gil Alexander. Jerry Rafferty is yacht rock. Baker Street, right down the line. If all he ever does is those two songs, yacht rock. Donald Fagen from Steely Dan listens to Jerry Rafferty on his yacht. So that's where all this stuff got going on Steely Dan. Steely Dan is the band that you go, I had no idea I knew all the words to all their songs when they come on. Jeff saw Steely Dan open for the Eagles this year. They were better than the headliner. Of course, Steely Dan, it's only Donald Fagen now. Walter Becker passed away, gosh, 10 years ago, maybe more than that. Can't remember. So really it's you're seeing Donald Fagen. But the band that he has around him that he still tours with, and I have no problem, by the way, with Donald Fagen running under the banner of Steely Dan, even without Walter Becker, even if Danny Diaz, one of the original, actually before they were there in 1970, I got no problem with Donald Fagen running under that banner of Steely Dan. I know you guys are kind of worried about that. How does Hyatt feel about Donald Fagen carrying on as Steely Dan? By the way, the Eagles, which is kind of funny here, the line in Hotel California where they stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast, is a Don Henley lyric reference to allegedly Donald Fagen, who one of the girlfriends in the band was apparently sneaking around with, and that was a more than a slight jab at Steely Dan and Donald Fagen. Good call, Glenn. Pretzel Logic. What was that 78? Nah, 75. That's one of the challenges I have with Steely Dan on album years is they just churned them out. Boom, 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 boom. It could have all been the same year. She don't know Aretha Franklin. She don't know the Queen of Soul. A19. All right, you guys are the best. We got a lot of stuff covered tonight. We got basketball, strength of schedule, killing you. Come on, Grant, you got to fix that. Your program's better than that. You can fix it. You got to do it next year. No time to do it now. Just you can't lose. If Tech loses a game between now and Big 12 play, really between now and January, you are going to be starting Big 12 play in the give or take 60s or 70s. You'll be 20 spots out of the NCAA tournament. Don't do that anymore. All right? Don't do that anymore. You got to win every single game. Tahj Brooks got hosed. We can all agree on that. Joey McGuire knew who he was going to hire, and he hired them both, and he hired them away from Big 12 schools. That's good. And then we had a little discussion on Steely Dan. Hit my man up, Gil Alexander, at Beating the Book on Twitter. And we're not arguing about Steely Dan. I'm mad that he won't give me Jerry Rafferty into the so-called yacht rock. And we all agree that yacht rock, by the way, is a bad term for it. It's not a great term for the music. But I'm telling you, Christopher Cross, and Jerry Rafferty would have been played back to back on quality radio stations in the late 70s. 1977 to 1980, those two songs, you could have played those back to back. They're in the genre. Jerry Rafferty should be in the so-called Yacht Rock Hall of Fame, if for nothing else than Baker Street, right on down the line. He's got others that are really good, just nobody knows about them. I don't know where Gil, he finds these odd hills to die on. Don't let him die on that. Hell, just jump out there. By the way, if you need the link, it's on our webpage, theraiderland.com, in this morning's column. All right? You can click on his Twitter deal right there. Just say, hey, Jerry Rafferty on a yacht, Raiderland, something like that. Jerry Rafferty, Gary Wright mixed in. Yeah, we could do that. We need Dick Winter. God rest his soul. Nobody could cuss out an individual like Dick Winter. For those who don't know, that was an offensive coordinator for Texas Tech in the late 80s, early 90s. A good man. He never cussed at me. He could have. All right, we're gonna call it a night. Everybody follow David Collier on Twitter and just harass his ass too. Why not? You know, get after him. He ain't doing nothing. We'll see you tomorrow in the morning, draiderland.com. All right. Share this, put it out there. I got to hit the end stream.